Welcome back to Asura's Wrath, episode the day after the defeat of Litra.
Whoa.
Hey Pedro, does this remind you anything?
Excuse me, there must be some mistake. I came here for Asura's Wrath, not Rogue Galaxy. Can someone please...
Actually remind me also the beginning of Final Fantasy XII.
That
yeah, I
too,
get the idea.
that too, yeah, but... Well, I didn't...
Anyway, we're about to meet Asura's family. Basically, mother, which we saw before, and her wife, and yes, she's voiced by Tara Strong, as I mentioned.
Father!
Aww. And here's an interesting thing. Asura, as you can imagine, is kind of a shitty parent. But the interesting thing is that it's not played for laughs at all.
Well,
it's actually a very tragic part of his personality. The fact that he's just a brute and he's not be able to keep his family, you know, as he wants to.
Well, Teo, isn't that kind of a cliche anyway, that of gods being terrible parents?
You mustn't keep the Emperor waiting.
True, but in
well,
this case
they
it's
don't usually
particular
focus on it
because
much.
we are in control of a character that's similar to, you know, stuff like Kratos, which are basically your generic mindless barbarian brute, which you think doesn't even care about. But in this case, he wants to care. He just can't, and he feels powerless to it. Anyway, he was actually basically summoned by the Emperor. For what reason? Well...
You are to be executed.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. You wish, Dweebs. There's more going on. Slow-mo!
Oh, he's dead?
Yep. And basically it's the classic framing someone on a crime scene kind of conspiracy. Basically, now the Emperor's dead, and obviously Asura was the last one who saw him, so he's fucked.
Oh, crud.
Betrayal!
Betrayed, betrayed, betrayed.
Alright, so I guess we have to fight this guy.
No! There must be some mistake!
Poor Asura.
Run.
I don't understand. What the hell's happening?
Tell me.
I don't know. Don't worry, Dweebs, all will become clear in time. Part 1, Suffering. The parts are referring to us to groups of episodes. Think of them as story arcs.
Right.
So basically now Asura was escaping and now basically just found himself surrounded and confronted by our first boss, Wizen.
Wait, episode 1 didn't last very long at all.
Enough of your lies!
Yeah, that's how it works. We think of them as anime episodes, but or shorts or whatever.
Release!
So yeah, now first we're fighting here's the beat 'em up section. It's sadly very straightforward. You can shoot projectiles, as I'm mentioning here, but it's not your main method of attacking. Your main method of attacking is beating them with a circle button and using heavy attacks with a triangle button. And an interesting twist, an interesting reference is that the triangle button is the double lariat, a move that's notoriously famous from other Capcom games, mainly Final Fight and Street Fighter 2.
Right.
It was also actually referencing Dead Rising. Yeah, basically it's you spinning around. In other games, such games, it depletes your health bar because it's a move that's powerful but with a cost. Here it's basically just a charging meter. You cannot spam it unless you're like in a super limited mode, super limitless mode. Anyway, as you also saw, some enemies will prefer certain attacks on you, and in that specific case, you'll have to press...
Asura's Wrath.
Yeah, return to these messages.
Asura's Wrath.
Basically, in those situations, you'll have to press a context button, kind of like reaction commands in Kingdom Hearts 2, and Asura will perform a counter-attack on that. Anyway, Sergei is also paying a visit to Asura's home. Keep that in mind for later. Even though, yeah, this cutscene is pretty straightforward, but keep that in mind because it will be brought up way later.
They're both gonna die, aren't they?
Almost there, Dreams. Almost.
Still got it in you.
Okay, now he sounds like the spirit from the 2008 film.
I forgot to. Well, Wiseden's voice actor is not that famous,
I'll kill you myself.
but he's awesome because he shouts constantly. Anyway, this was one of the very first things saw in one of the very early trailers. Asura's getting impaled and having to fight Wizen. Wizen as a boss here is pretty straightforward again, which functions more as a tutorial than anything. We'll fight him way more seriously later on, don't worry. But basically it's straightforward. You have to punch him, avoid his attacks, and knock him down while he's on the ground, basically. He reminds me a lot of one of the characters from God Hand. I forgot how it's called. The guy in the white tuxedo that talks in Spanish or Mexican.
Be safe.
Tough luck as
Not
well.
exactly leaving them
This
in
is
the best of
this is a
circumstances.
tragedy, for fuck's sake. Yeah, you have to keep in mind these Deeps. This is mostly a tragedy. Despite the awesome factor and the fun combat thing, there's a comedy, but there will be little time to be happy in this game. Yeah, let's start with this, shall we?
Oh no, someone's dying who I barely know.
Actually,
Well-
that's his wife.
Yeah, that's his wife, and the way they built up, it was fine now. Besides, she will be brought up again later on in multiple flashbacks,
He
so...
had like one line.
Save her.
Well, that's the thing. The storytelling of this game is not fragmented and not random like, say, Beyond Two Souls. Sometimes Asura will have flashbacks that are actually in context with the story because at some point he needs to remember his life. And
Yeah,
in
a lot
these
of stories start off
flashbacks,
like this
he
with
will
the-
learn more about his life. Things like his relationship with Yasha and how he met Durga and how basically fell in love with her. Thank you, Liam. These
No.
top qualities. Also, another thing, Glimpse, you will hear Liam O'Brien scream a lot. And according to some interviews he had, he actually got throat damage because he had to scream too much in the recording. So yeah, the other generals have kidnapped Mithra. Why? Well, it's easy. She's basically a mantra power cell, so they're gonna milk her power to death, pretty much.
Asura,
And even Yasha is here. How funny of you.
get out of my way. Listen to me. Wait. Move.
I was just about to tell you about the force field before you dashed into it, idiot.
And here's Deus, which basically, the funny thing about Deus is you think he's just a villain that stands back and lets his minions do this, but no. When he takes things personally, believe me, he does.
Because I have decided to save this world. I will create a new civilization.
I will create Civilization 6.
So basically, the generals are basically pulling God's thing with their dicks, and you have to stop them, pretty much.
Yeah, basically we're
Alright,
betraying
so what
the
I
user of-
miss?
Basically, Asura has been accused to have killed the Emperor unjustly. Sergei has killed Asura's wife, and they kidnapped Mithra. And now Deus is basically curb stomping him.
Huh.
Basically, the idea, Pedro, is that the other generals have a coup d'etat in which they kill the Emperor, they frame Asura for it, and they take control of things. Why? Deus has a plan, actually. He will actually tell it later on, and it will all become clear. But for now, just endure with it.
Yeah.
No, don't. You'll fall off the... No, I said don't.
That's the idea, Dreams.
Your death shall be the foundation of my world.
That's also the reason, Dweebs, why they didn't even try to include Asura in this new supposed legacy of new power they wanted to establish, because they needed a scapegoat. And they decided to use Asura because, one, they think it's the weakest chain of ring in the chain, and two, because it's easy to exploit anyway.
And 3 because literally Asura
And
is
that's the
only
main
frequency
transformation of Asura. His eyes now have gone white. He's not blind. They are going to become white. He's not going to be blind, mind you, but they will be a symbol of his rage that will keep constantly through the whole game from now on. Breathe.
Well, how does it feel to be a popsicle?
Oh no, sorry. Oh, sorry.
And there you go, Dave. Someone getting incinerated by entering the atmosphere.
And yeah, wait, how can I have my vengeance if I burn?
Oh,
Because
well,
you're a demigod.
believe me, Dweebs, you will find a way.
I will find a way, damn it.
Betrayal and vengeance. So yeah, a rather short episode, but it serves to establish the tones of the game too.
Yep.
All right,
Pretty
next.
much that's
Let's go
everything.
for the interlude.
Now it's time.
Basically, you'll be the narrator for this one, Jova. It explains what happens now.
Right. From the myths passed down on vibrations of humans far and wide, the evil demigod who fell from the heavens. Long, long ago, there lived 8 legendary demigods. They were known as the 8 General Guardians. They led the demigod legions against the impure Gohmas, bringing peace and prosperity to the world. But one of them was black of heart and had ambitions of his own. His name was Asura.
Basically, this is the traditional myths of Asura that Hinduism and Buddhism have brought, and basically, the game basically tells you that pretty much they demonized Asura in the midst of the Apple public.
Yep.
Also been evaluation. I mean, what you're seeing. Oh, sorry.
Black clouds clouded the sky, unpenetrated by the sun's rays.
Yeah,
Plants
basically, what you saw was the classic incarnation of Asura according to Hinduism.
and it turns out it was all just a ploy by the gods. So
Yes.
you know, all those readings, it was all a lie. Just then, when it was believed all hope was lost, 7 pillars of light poured down from the heavens. Under the command of the great Deus, they fought heroically against their brother, who betrayed them, and avenged their emperor's death by sending Asura to it. So it's like the equivalent of, hey, imagine if Hades was the good guy in real
bad
life.
propaganda. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's like the equivalent of Hades being the true good guy and all the other gods being the bad guys.
Welcome back to the preview for I swear to God, the music during these parts makes this sound so much like Shenmue.
Spider appears and begins to guide him, spurring Asura to make his way back to his world.
In his world.
We'll see that for episode 3. See ya.
So yeah.
See you, everybody.